Before I introduce you to my next guest and this new opportunity for you to learn more about what's going on in North Dakota, I want to give you a foundation here of where I come from in relation to all of this, because I think in the day and age that we live, there's been a blurring of lines, right? And commentating versus journalism. I'm a commentator. And I know that it was just last year I was invited out to speak on a panel for the Greater North Dakota Chamber of Commerce, in which we had a current journalist, two former journalists, and me. And I wanted to start the conversation by pointing that out, that what those individuals did is report based on facts, based on sourcing. You and I daily here have a conversation of what is in the news and share our opinions on it. And give you a glimpse into what I would do. I hear from what you like, disagree with, all of that. But the foundation comes from good reporting, from journalists. And I know that in this day and age, there's this idea that there's a competition. And I tell you, ladies and gentlemen, there's not. There's good journalism, and I don't care if it comes from, obviously, the multi-award winning journalists across the hall for me in the KFJO News Center, or in traditional media of newspapers. And I think over the course of the last few decades, when you watch nationally, and yeah, that's right here in North Dakota, Minnesota, and South Dakota as well, that you've watched as newsrooms have dialed things back. They've cut down on staff. And it's made it more difficult to get, I think, some of that important news that you need to understand what's actually going on. So when I see that there's a new group coming together, a new nonprofit about a nonpartisan news agency right here in North Dakota, I got excited. I wanted to learn more. So I'll reach out to the editor-in-chief of North Dakota Monitor to get some of those answers. Amy Dalrymple is our guest and joins us right now here on KFGO. Amy, welcome back. Congratulations on the new adventure.
Yeah, thank you. Happy to be here visiting with you today.
Explain to the listeners what North Dakota Monitor is.
Happy to. Yeah, as you set up very well, we are a nonprofit, nonpartisan news organization. We're going to be launching on Tuesday, December 12th. We made the announcement yesterday, and we've got a social media push going right now to try to get a following. So once we publish our first articles, we hope to have a lot of people finding those first articles. We are the 38th outlet that's part of State Newsroom, which is a national nonprofit. And so we will be digital, but our work is available to be reprinted for free by other news organizations, whether it's print or broadcast, or anyone that would like to reprint our work can do so. There's just some simple guidelines that they follow, such as linking to us. So we're hoping that our work will really bolster a lot of the good reporting that's already happening across our state.
Well, that lends to, I think, the first question. I got two really basic questions that we'll take for a walk here. One is why. You mentioned this is 38th with the State Newsroom, a national group here that must see a need for what you are now being tasked to do, and just having some nonpartisan, nonprofit news being published, being able to be consumed in North Dakota. So why? Was there something missing? What made them decide to say, you know what, Amy, we need you, and we need you to get this thing up and running in North Dakota?
Yeah, I think nationally, the reason that they have kind of filled this need is they've seen a reduction in coverage of state government, and so we're just the next one where they're expanding. But I would say it's not just the North Dakota trend; it's a national trend where there's just been fewer resources overall on original reporting, and specifically the state government beat.
And I think that is spot on. Given the time that I was out there, one thing, Amy, in my first session that just surprised the life out of me is being out in Bismarck. You'd have debate after debate, hearing after hearing, very important stuff. It's the things that I can't believe so-and-so said this, and then you'd get home to your district, and for me, that was Fargo as Fargo. There would be no reporting, very little done. on what was going on in Bismarck in that 80-day window, and I just couldn't believe the lack of it. And visiting with people that were involved in this industry, meaning media, saying we just don't have the resources to do the coverage we used to do once upon a time.
Yeah, that's absolutely right.
What I do notice now is an effort to kind of correct some of that. I've noticed it as far as, I mean, you have those that have been roaming the Capitol hallways for a long time. I mean, I think about Dave Thompson with Prairie Public, whom we rely on a lot to kind of get us the rundown of what he's hearing out there. I'm liking that I see some of the steps being taken. I'm glad that there's even more because there's so many angles and so many different stories that need to be told out in Bismarck that, quite frankly, aren't making it past the cutting room floor.
Yeah, I think there's a lot more that we can dig into, and you're right. Dave is a great resource, but he can't be everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So the more of us that can help cover the meetings and other stories at the Capitol, I think the public benefits from that.
You'd mentioned, about the lack of resources for some of these other, reporting agencies. I think about the other papers, television, and of course, radio, pardon me. So how is the second basic question? I know you've got a nonprofit, you got this national state newsroom that has taken upon themselves to get this up and running, but how do they make it work if it comes down? Because you got to get a salary, you have a great staff you're putting together. Is it primarily through donations?
Yep, absolutely. It's donation funded. We don't have advertising on our website, so it is donation based. And on their website, they do a really good job of listing all the donors that have contributed over $1,000, so anyone can go look and see who our donors are. And there's also a link there for all of the 990 tax forms if someone was really curious and wanted to dig into it more.
Sure. Yeah, because you know how things go when it comes to especially reporting on policy and politics. People say, who's funding it? And the openness and the transparency that you guys are going to be providing, I think, could put all of that to rest for those that just simply look at things and say, well, that's not true. Well, this is factual and it is based on sources, and this is how journalism works. If people want to learn more about North Dakota Monitor, they want to get signed up for some of your releases, where would you suggest they go?
Yeah, thanks for that question. Our website is northdakotamonitor.com, and readers can go ahead and sign up for our newsletter. The first one will come out on December 12th. That's a free email newsletter that will have our stories.
Very good. Amy, what did I miss about this or anything else you want to get out for the public to know about North Dakota Monitor before I let you go?
Yeah, well, we also would love tips. We'd like to hear what readers want us to cover. And so I'll just give you our email is info@northdakotamonitor.com. If there are areas that you think are not being covered well enough, we'd love to hear from you.
Very good. I just jotted that down. I tell you what, we'll get that on the podcast for this conversation, so it's right there for KFGO listeners, all right?
I appreciate it. Thanks so much for the opportunity, Tyler.
Well, congratulations, Amy, and I know the staff that you got together, they're going to be putting out some very important information. We look forward to following along as this does unfold, all right?
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. You take care. Amy Dalrymple, again, now the editor-in-chief of the North Dakota Monitor. The staff that they have out there with Jeff Beach and some of the others that are taking part of this that are journalists. When we come back after a weather update from Too Tall Tom, I want to make it a little bit more clear of the separation of what they're working on, what the KFGO News Center across the hall for me does on a daily basis versus what I do on a daily basis. I think there's been such a blurring of those lines. And I do think there are some news outlets, yes, right here in North Dakota, that rely so much on commentary that this is why people don't trust media. I'm going to get into that when we come back on Afternoons Live. I'm Tyler Axness. Don't go anywhere.